When the name Gervonta "Tank" Davis pops up in boxing conversations, it's almost always accompanied by two things: exciting knockouts and heated debates.
With you being in the DMV and you betting on yourself, if you show that value as not just in the ring, but as an attraction, you might, who knows, maybe you might get a call from Tank or something.
For sure. Yeah, Tank's my guy too, man. I appreciate him shouting me out after the win. And what's crazy? After he beat Hector,
his brutal punching power and ability to bring excitement to every fight have undeniably earned him a massive fan base. Yet for every person praising his greatness, there's another questioning his career choices, particularly the opponents he picks.
Do not buy Gervonta "Tank" Davis versus Lamont Roach. Don't spend y'all money. Don't give a dime towards it. This is crap. This is crap, and this is who y'all call the face of boxing. We could have won at many other fighters who would have gave him a challenge.
The talk around his next title defense on December 14th against Lamont Roach Jr. has only added fuel to that fire. But even more interesting is the amateur fight and the history these two have had, which has recently come to light.
And Gervonta "Tank" Davis just been released to the public. We know now, December 14th, Houston, Texas, he's going to be facing a very tough opponent in Lamont Roach. Can you tell us a little bit about the history between them two?
Oh man, they've been knowing each other from the amateurs.
It all started when the official announcement landed. Tank Davis was defending his title against Lamont Roach Jr., a super featherweight. For casual fans, this might sound like just another day in the boxing world, champions taking on challengers. But for hardcore followers, this decision hit a nerve. Why? Roach is a fighter with a respectable record of January 1st, 25, but he doesn't pack the punch or name recognition to excite fans. It now seems that Tank, once again, is dodging top-tier competition and opting for a safe opponent.
Lamont Roach Jr. Really, Tank? Out of all the people you can go and fight, you gonna fight this guy that ain't beat up on none but Mexican fighters. This dude is a bomb when it comes to boxing. No disrespect to Lamont Roach Jr. You a bomb when it comes to boxing, bro.
The footage of their amateur fight shows Roach and Davis locked in a back and forth, with Davis coming out on top. They were both younger then, smaller, hungrier, but it's the memory that plays in the background of their upcoming matchup. Kenny Ellis, Tank's coach, in a recent interview, defended Tank's choice and reminded everyone of Roach's strong amateur pedigree. Roach isn't a pushover. He's a 7-time national champion. They fought in the amateurs 2 or 3 times, with Tank being the winner, Ellis said, trying to put some excitement and push the credibility of the upcoming match.
His belt at 130 pounds. I'm excited to see Tank Davis back in the ring, y'all. Not the fight I wanted. Not the big time fight that fight fans are gonna get excited for, but a good fight nonetheless, specifically when you consider the circumstances, who's available.
But here's the twist. Roach's pro career hasn't been as stellar as his amateur days. Despite his national championships, he lost to Jamel Herring in a fight that didn't exactly elevate his status, and his punching power doesn't quite match the explosiveness of someone like Tank. More frustrating for fans is that Tank had other options, tougher opponents that could have given him a serious challenge. Names like Shakur Stevenson, Andy Cruz, Raymond Muratalla, or Keyshawn Davis, fighters who bring excitement, speed, and grit. Yet instead of those matchups, fans are watching Tank face off against a fighter who seems, at least on paper, to pose little threat. Ellis is quick to dismiss this criticism. He argues that the fight world is overlooking Roach. Because people don't know Lamont, he's not as popular. They think he can't fight, but Lamont can fight, and he has a hell of a pedigree, Ellis said, showing confidence in Roach's skills. But fans are not convinced, and it's not just Roach's low-key profile that's stirring discontent. It's the recurring pattern that Tank seems to follow, avoiding the biggest names and toughest matchups. His critics argue that his career has been more about cherry-picking opponents than proving himself against the best.
You know what? Tank is Tank do his thing, man. I ain't gonna lie. Like, he closed the show and he get the people what they want. You can't say it's a cherry pick because dude is a young, hungry champion. And it makes sense. They from like the DMV area.
They arguably the same
town.
size.
Exactly. So it ain't a cherry pick. We wanted to see him with another fighter, but
What makes this fight even more puzzling is Tank's own track record against fighters like Roach. Hector Luis Garcia, a fighter Tank easily knocked out earlier this year, barely lost to Roach in a close decision last year. If Garcia couldn't last against Tank, what hope does Roach have? This is where fans' frustration lies. They want to see Davis tested, pushed to his limits, and forced to dig deep against opponents who can truly challenge him. Tank's career has been full of potential marquee fights that never materialized. Names like Shakur Stevenson and Vasily Lomachenko have been tossed around, but nothing has come of it. Kenny Ellis tries to downplay this, insisting that it's not Tank's fault. According to Ellis, the bigger names in the sport have been avoiding Tank, pricing themselves out of fights, or simply not stepping up. The guys with the so-called names turned Tank down. They priced themselves out, Ellis said, offering a defense that sounds plausible on the surface, but raises eyebrows among fans.
I am disgusted.
I am disgusted.
My stomach hurts. So, out of all the fights that we possibly could have had if Loma didn't duck, we could have had Lomachenko versus Tank Davis. We could have had versus Shakur, but this whole situation with that is very confusing. But we got Lamont Roach, which I'm not saying it's a bad fight, but it don't make sense. He's coming from 130, and he's getting a direct title shot win. For example, Kid Schofield could have got a shot at that.
Is it really the other fighters turning Tank down? Or is it that Tank's team isn't pushing hard enough for the big fights? The narrative Ellis is spinning suggests that Tank just wants to fight, and it doesn't matter who is standing across the ring. As long as he can get a fight, he's good. He just likes to fight, Ellis said, trying to paint a picture of Tank as a fighter who's in it for the love of the sport, not the glory or the big names. But the truth may be more complicated. If that's the case, Tank could easily fight the likes of Andy Cruz, Keyshawn Davis, or Raymond Muratalla if he wanted. These fighters are hungry for the opportunity and would jump at the chance to take on a star like Tank. So why Roach? Why now?
Lamont Roach. Man, I think Lamont Roach is a really good fighter, man, a skilled boxer, damn good fighter for his weight division. But I just want to ask the hardcore Tank Davis fans, is this the fight that y'all wanted? Is this what y'all was looking for? This what y'all was willing to, ready to pay your money for? And is what y'all was clamoring for? I know it's a lot of Tank fans talking about.
One possible reason could be a lack of risk. Boxing is a dangerous sport, and the higher the stakes, the higher the risk of losing. For Tank, a fighter who thrives on maintaining his undefeated record and his aura of invincibility, facing a less dangerous opponent like Roach could be a calculated decision to protect his legacy while still staying active in the ring. The amateur footage of Tank versus Roach from years ago shows a glimpse of what could happen, but both men have grown since then. Tank is bigger, stronger, more experienced, and far more dangerous. But Roach has also matured, though not in ways that make fans believe he can pull off an upset. His lack of knockout power and his failure to decisively dominate his last few opponents have left many wondering if this fight is anything more than a showcase for Tank's power. Ellis brushes this off, saying that Roach is being underestimated and that fans should give him a chance, but boxing is about proving yourself at every level, and for Tank Davis, this fight is another missed opportunity to prove himself against the very best. If Roach pulls off a miracle, the story changes overnight, but as it stands, this matchup feels like another chapter in the ongoing saga of Tank Davis's career, one filled with highlights, but lacking the big tests that make a true champion. Lamont Roach Jr., affectionately dubbed the Reaper, is a fighter on a mission. Set to face the formidable Tank Davis in December, Roach isn't just moving up in weight class, he's moving up in confidence. At 29 years old, Roach believes he's not only ready for the challenge, but is absolutely certain that he's got the skills, experience, and heart to push Davis to his limits. As he prepares to jump from the super featherweight division to lightweight, Roach has one clear message: he's not Frank Martin. And this fight won't be a repeat of Tank's dominant knockout performance in June.
Of distractions and the ability to focus, but Santa Cruz now and coming forward with punches of 23 wants to bring Davis.
During a recent interview, Roach didn't mince his words when comparing himself to Tank's previous opponent. "Respectfully, I'm not Frank Martin," Roach stated, and he's right to make the distinction. Frank Martin, a boxer who picked up the sport at 15, was talented but lacked the extensive ring experience required to face someone as explosive as Tank. Davis took full advantage of Martin's inexperience, taking him out in just 8 rounds. Roach, however, believes he's cut from a different cloth. Frank Martin didn't have the experience to be in there with someone as skilled and experienced as him, Roach pointed out, emphasizing the gap that ultimately led to Martin's defeat. Where Martin's late start to boxing may have played a factor in his loss, Roach insists that his background is vastly different. He's been around the ring much longer, having dedicated his entire life to the sport. Not only does Roach have years of experience, but he's also quick to remind everyone that his skill set is on par with Tank's, a claim many critics may find bold, but one he fully believes in. "I've got the same skill level as Tank. I've got the same experience as Tank. I've got the reflexes, I've got the ability, I've damn sure got the IQ," Roach confidently declared, illustrating his deep-rooted belief that he's no less equipped for this showdown than the WBA lightweight champion. But this is what everyone who gets in the ring with Tank goes through. At first, each of Tank's opponents, from Garcia to Martin, believed that they were much better than Tank, only to add to his knockout streak.
There's a left hook. That landed for Garcia, followed by a right, but Tank's coming forward. Down goes Garcia. What a shot. Garcia down for the second time in the fight.
But Roach's experience isn't just talk. He's already faced Davis twice in the amateurs, both times going the distance but ultimately falling short. Losing both bouts by decision might deter other fighters, but not Roach. If anything, it has only fueled his drive to face Tank again on the professional stage. Those amateur losses, from Roach's perspective, are in the past. He's grown since then, improved in ways that can't be captured in just a few rounds of amateur boxing. Since his 2019 defeat to Jamel Herring in a WBC super featherweight world title bid, Roach has been on an upward trajectory, securing 6 consecutive wins and gaining the WBA super featherweight title with a gritty split decision victory over Hector Luis Garcia in November 2023. It's a particularly interesting twist considering Davis knocked out Garcia just 10 months before, but Roach sees his win differently. He's not concerned with how Davis fared against Garcia. His focus is on the present and how he's improved since that win. In his eyes, the Hector Luis Garcia he faced and defeated was a different version of the one Tank dispatched with relative ease. Roach's leap to 135 pounds is a bold one, but he's quick to stress that this move doesn't diminish his chances. In fact, Roach seems to relish the opportunity to face Tank at a higher weight, believing that his skill and ring IQ will prove the difference. Roach doesn't shy away from the elephant in the room: Tank's power. Davis has built a reputation as a knockout artist, with 28 of his 30 professional wins coming by KO. But Roach remains unfazed. "What makes people think I'm going to end up like those guys who didn't have the experience and skill?" he asked.
There's a right hand connecting. Oh, big left. Down goes Romero. A beautiful left from Davis.
Roach isn't just relying on his abilities, he's banking on his chin to stand up to Tank's power. And if Roach's words are any indication, he believes he has one of the most durable chins in the division. "I think I've got a nice chin. I got hit on my chin a couple of times. Ain't nobody never dropped me. Ain't nobody never seen me hurt in no fight," Roach said. It's a bold claim, but one that adds to the intrigue of the fight. Roach acknowledges that Tank's power is unique, but he's firm in his belief that he won't crumble the way others have under Davis's relentless pressure. "The power might be a little different," Roach admitted, giving Tank his due credit. But that acknowledgement doesn't come with an ounce of fear, just preparedness.
For sure.
Okay. I know you're at 130, right? But if the right fight presented itself, would you consider maybe a big fight at 35? If the money was right?
Most definitely. If the money was right, if there's a championship on the line, because those belts are freeing up.
Yeah, they are.
Definitely, for sure. I'm not a super small 130 pounder.
Yeah.
However, Tank sees Roach different, or should we say less of what Roach sees himself as. Tank even went further to leave a warning to Roach, telling him to stay silent on his confidence. Despite the provocations, doubts, and criticisms coming from Davis and the boxing world, Roach remains steadfast in his belief that he is not only worthy of the challenge, but the ideal man to defeat the knockout artist. The verbal exchanges between the two fighters have added fuel to the fire, and Roach seems unshaken by the noise surrounding their upcoming December clash in Houston.
They're both champions, but in this case, Garcia is the challenger.
Tank Davis, never one to shy away from psychological warfare, has been busy on social media, poking at his opponent and stirring the pot. One particular post on Instagram featured a photo from his knockout victory over Frank Martin in June. In the image, Davis can be seen celebrating triumphantly with Martin lying on the canvas behind him, an image that's a show reminder of Tank's ferocious power. The caption that accompanied the photo read, "December, Houston, long live baby Frank," a clear reference to his next opponent, Roach, and a subtle dig at Martin's failed attempt to stand toe-to-toe with him. But Roach isn't rattled. In fact, he's dishing it right back at Davis. When Roach responded to X, he didn't hold back. "Houston, we have a MF problem," Roach boldly tweeted, making it clear that he has no intention of being another victim. He went on to taunt Davis further. "You must think I'm one of them regular NU fought or some. LOL, cut it out, measy." This back and forth has escalated the tension between the two, and while it might just be social media banter, it demonstrates Roach's refusal to be intimidated by Tank's aura of invincibility. Tank then responded with a stern warning. "I advise you not to talk so much. It can be bad for you. You know that already, though, yo." The message was cryptic, but sent with the clear intention of reminding Roach who he's dealing with. A fighter who has dispatched 28 of his 30 opponents by knockout, including some who talked big before being sent to the canvas. While the trash talk may be par for the course in today's boxing culture, Roach's self-assuredness in the face of Tank's provocations is telling. He's not backing down, and that in itself is a statement. Many fighters, when faced with Tank's reputation and power, adopt a more cautious tone. Roach, however, seems eager to meet Davis head-on, both inside and outside the ring. However, while Roach's confidence is undeniable, it hasn't been enough to sway public opinion just yet. Both fans and boxing analysts have expressed doubts about the matchup. One of the main points of contention among fans is the fact that Roach is moving up from 130 pounds, where he holds the WBA super featherweight title, to face Davis, who is comfortably fighting at 135 pounds. Roach will need to gain 9 pounds to meet the weight requirement, and this, coupled with Tank's natural power advantage, has led to skepticism about Roach's chances. Gaining weight often comes with questions about how it will affect a fighter's speed, stamina, and power, and fans have been quick to point this out. Responses to Davis's Instagram post featuring his knockout of Martin highlight this sentiment. Some fans were unimpressed, with one user commenting, "Can you fight somebody that's gonna actually give you some bump?" While another stated bluntly, "Yet another cherry picked by Tank." The frustration stems from a belief that Davis, despite being a dominant force in the lightweight division, is taking fights against opponents who are either unproven at 135 pounds or not physically equipped to give him a true challenge. One fan captured the essence of the widespread disappointment, saying, "Y'all better stop falling for these weak tricks." Fighters moving up or down from their natural fighting weight, but he doesn't want to move up or face any of the competition in his wheelhouse. Teo, Devin, Shakur, etc. Nobody wants this fight. This criticism reflects the sentiment of those who believe Davis should be testing himself against the likes of Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, or Shakur Stevenson, fighters who are either natural lightweights or who have already proven themselves at higher levels.
So you think you dominate Tank?
I think I dominate any of them. If you really look at it, if you gotta really tap in on this. Look at the resume, all that extra, whatever. There's a certain limit that you hit, right? But then there's that next criteria or that next top tier. And if you don't match.
Despite the chorus of doubts, Roach remains confident that he is more than capable of pulling off the upset. For him, This fight represents an opportunity to prove that he is not just a talented boxer, but a champion, capable of fighting and winning at the highest levels. He's well aware of the narrative surrounding him and Davis and is eager to rewrite it. Roach has already faced his share of adversity in the ring. His losses to Gervonta Davis in the amateurs and Jamel Herring in 2019 may stand out on his record, but they've also shaped him into a more complete fighter. Since then, he's gone on a winning streak, securing the WBA title in a hard-fought victory over Hector Garcia. That win was a turning point in Roach's career, giving him the validation and confidence that he could compete with and beat the best. Now Roach is preparing to move up to the lightweight division, where the stakes are higher and the competition is fiercer. While his critics may focus on his lack of knockout power or the weight jump, Roach's confidence in his abilities remains unwavering. He's banking on his skill, experience, and ring IQ to counteract Davis's power. And he believes that if the fight goes into the later rounds, his chances of victory increase.
Stop closing up. Gotta let it go. Keep turning, step around.
For Roach, this fight is more than just a title shot. It's a chance to solidify his legacy and prove that he belongs among the elite. If he can withstand Tank's power and impose his own game plan, he has the potential to turn the boxing world on its head. Roach has no illusions about the task ahead of him, but if his confidence is any indication, he truly believes that he's capable of pulling off what many see as the impossible. Well, what's your take on this fight? And do you think it's a cherry pick from Tank? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. See you in the next one.